Is full frame actually dead? Nikon just accidentally leaked a camera that might make you sell your entire gear bag today. We are talking about the Nikon Z90. This isn't just another crop sensor update. This is the mini Z8 the world has been waiting for. It is a camera designed to destroy every full-frame body from Sony and Canon under $3,000. For years, the industry told us that full frame was the only professional choice. They told us that if you wanted high resolution and professional low light performance, you had to go big. But Nikon is about to prove that bigger and always better. The leaked specs coming out of Nikon's service centers are terrifying for the competition. We are looking at a 33-megapixel stacked sensor, 120 frames per second burst speeds, and 6K video features borrowed directly from Nikon's recent acquisition of Red. This camera doesn't just compete with full frame. It beats it at its own game for a fraction of the price. If you have been shooting on the Nikon D500 for the last few years, you know it is still the best APS-C DSLR ever made. It had the best ergonomics and the best autofocus of its time. But the Z90 is the leap we have been waiting for. Let's talk about the heart of this beast, the sensor. It's a 33-megapixel APS-C stacked CMOS sensor. To put that in perspective, that is a higher resolution than the Sony a7 III, the Nikon Z6 II, and the Canon R6. But the stacked part is the real magic. This technology allows for an incredibly fast readout speed of 1/400th of a second. That is faster than the flagship Sony A1 or the Canon R3. This means rolling shutter is practically a thing of the past. You can swing this camera across a racetrack or follow a bird in flight, and the lines will stay perfectly straight. Nikon is bringing flagship speed to a body that costs thousands less than the competition. There is a massive myth in the photography world that full frame is always better in low light. This leak kills that myth today. The Z90 has a pixel pitch of 5.1 micrometers. Do you know what else has a 5.1 micrometer pixel pitch? The full-frame Sony a7 IV. When pixel sizes are equal, the light gathering capability per pixel is essentially identical. This means your noise levels at high ISOs will be virtually the same as a much more expensive full-frame camera. But here is what you gain: the 1.5x crop factor. This is a superpower for wildlife and sports photographers. Your 70-200mm lens instantly becomes a 105-300mm. Your 500mm prime becomes a 750mm. You get that extra reach for free without losing any light or resolution. In the past, using a crop mode on a full-frame camera like the Z8 meant dropping your megapixels down significantly. With the Z90, you get the reach and the full 33 megapixels of detail. It is a purpose-built tool for reach and speed. The speed on this machine is truly mind-blowing. The old D500 was famous for its 10 frames per second. At the time, that felt like a machine gun. The Z90 leak says it can do 120 frames per second with the electronic shutter. That is 12 times faster. You could capture a hummingbird's wing flap in 4 distinct, sharp frames. Powering this is the EXPEED 7 processor, the same one found in the professional Z9. It features AI subject detection trained specifically for birds, cars, planes, and even insects. There is also a new pre-release capture mode. This feature saves 1 full second of images before you even fully press the shutter button. If you are a wildlife photographer waiting for a rare bird to take flight, you will never miss that moment again. The camera is essentially looking into the past to make sure you get the shot of the future. On the video side, Nikon is using its new partnership with Red to change the game. The Z90 leak suggests 6K video at 6OP, oversampled for incredible sharpness, and 4K at 1:0p with no crop. It includes internal unlog and ProRes RAW. This makes the Z90 a Canon C70 killer at half the price. It even features Red-inspired highlight recovery in unlog, offering over 14 stops of dynamic range. This is unheard of for an APS-C camera. For run-and-gun filmmakers, the crop factor is actually a benefit. A standard 24-70mm lens becomes a versatile 36-105mm, giving you tighter shots without the weight of heavy cinema glass. It's a tool for creators who need to move fast, stay light, and still deliver cinema quality files. When you compare the Z90 to its full-frame rivals, the choice becomes clear. For about $2,000, you are getting 120 fps, while the Sony a7 IV and Canon R6 Mark II are stuck at much lower speeds. You are getting 4K 120p with no crop, while the others are limited or have significant crops. You are paying $500 less for a camera that is faster, more versatile for action, and offers a built-in teleconverter effect. Nikon isn't trying to steal sales from their own Z8. They are targeting the action shooters who want the most efficient tool for the job. The Z8 is for portraits and landscapes, but for everything else, the Z90 is the new king of the hill. The Z90 is expected to arrive in early 2027, timed perfectly for the Winter Olympics. It will likely be priced at $1,999 for the body or $2,499 as a kit with a new 16 to 80mm f/.8 to 4 VR lens. This lens is rumored to be even sharper than the full-frame 24 to 70mm, while there are some challenges, like the high cost of stacked sensors and the need for massive, expensive CF Express cards to handle the data. The potential here is massive. Nikon is gambling that enthusiasts and pros are tired of carrying heavy, expensive full-frame gear when a crop sensor can do the job better. Why does this leak matter so much? Because for the last decade, camera companies have been pushing us toward full-frame because the profit margins are higher. They wanted us to believe that APS-C was just for beginners. Nikon is now breaking that cycle by putting their best sensor tech, their best processor, and their new red video science into a crop body. They are admitting that the crop factor is actually an advantage for the most demanding types of photography. If you shoot birds, you want a crop. If you shoot football from the sidelines, you want a crop. The Z90 is the first time in the mirrorless era that a company has treated the APS-C format with the respect it deserves. It isn't a budget version of a real camera. It is a specialized instrument for the world's fastest subjects. Of course, there are things to consider before you dump your full-frame gear. The battery life is expected to be around 300 to 400 shots per charge because that EXPEED 7 processor is power-hungry. You will also need to invest in the fastest storage media on the market to keep up with those 120 fps. And while the low light is equal on a per-pixel basis, full frame will still have a slight edge in total dynamic range for landscape work. But for 90% of shooters, those differences are invisible in the real world. My honest opinion. The Nikon Z90 is going to be a game changer. It takes the best parts of the flagship Z9 and puts them into a body that normal people can actually afford and carry. It's the true successor to the D500 we've been waiting for. It challenges the very idea that bigger is better. If these specs hold true, Nikon has just reset the entire industry. They have proven that the Pro label isn't about sensor size anymore, it's about performance and results. If you like the video, subscribe, share the video, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our deep dive comparison. I want to hear from you in the comments right now. This is a big debate, so let's get into it. Type Z90 if you are ready to sell your full-frame gear and switch to this beast. Type FF if you think full-frame is still the king and you aren't convinced. Or type D500 if you are still rocking the legend and you've been waiting for this day for years. I'll be pinning the best comment with an extra bonus leak about the Z90's new kit lens. I'll see you in the comments.